What's up YouTube, and welcome back to another Procreate tutorial where today I'm going to guide you through this cartoon scene. Now as always, there's links to everything you're going to need for today's design, like the canvas size and the palette, so you can follow along with the exact same colours, and they're both available over on my Patreon completely for free. There's a link to it in the description of this video down below. Everything else though is built into Procreate, so you won't need anything else. And if you could do me a solid and just triple check if you're subscribed. I know a lot of people get these videos on their home screens and don't realise that they're actually not subscribed, so if you enjoy this content every single week, please make sure to subscribe and support the work that I do here. And if you enjoy these tutorials and you want even more of them, check out my Patreon, because that's where I post 3 more every single month to a catalogue that now sits over 140 exclusive tutorials. So with all that said, enjoy today's tutorial and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is go up to our actions. We're going to go to the canvas tab and we're going to go ahead and add a drawing guide. Let's edit that drawing guide and set the grid size to 500. So we'll tap on that and set to 500 and hit done. That way we can lay out our designs that match up to each other. So your grid will look like my grid and you can see where I'm positioning things against the grid and put it on your screen. Let's then go ahead and start laying out the rest of the design. So let's go to our layers, and then on this empty layer, we're going to go to our colors and grab the middle of the far right column. We're going to go to our brush. Let's go to the option of calligraphy, and you want the monoline brush. And make sure you tap on the monoline brush and go to the option of stabilization, and just give yourself some streamline and stabilization so you can get some lovely smooth lines in here. You can even max it out, to be fair, if you really wanted to, but hit done. And then all we're going to do is just very easily just draw in some ground down here, roughly around about, say here, maybe a bit of a curve to it. You can hold your pen down if you want a straight line, or you can hold your pen down and create an arc if you really wanted. Like, you're going to have to emphasize it a little bit more than I'm doing. So if you create a bit more of an arc like this, then go up to edit arc. You can go ahead and tap here and just change the angle of it, etc., and all the different points. So you can mess around with it. It's not important to get that curve. I just want the tiniest amount of curve in the middle rather than it be flat. Then go to your color and just drag it into the bottom section. Then go to your brush size. Let's max that out. And over here on the right hand side, we're just going to create a big lump and then another curly shape as well. So circular shape, and drag the color into those as well. You could probably add in like a little one there if you really want to. Over here, we'll do the same thing. Another big curve and then another curve on the top. Let's just try and round that one off a bit more, and then drag and drop your color into both sections. There we go. And now we can go ahead and start laying out other elements. So we can create a new layer, drag it underneath that one, go to your colors. You want the white in the middle of the second column from the right. And we're going to create some just simple kind of almost like cloud-like shapes here. So you just create a curve, and then another curve, and another curve, and then maybe another one off to the right. And then from your starting position, just go all the way round and off to the right, so you can drag and drop your color in. You may need to drop it into multiple spots if you've got multiple shapes there that are separated. I'm going to create another curve, and that's all I'm going to do is just keep creating curves using that monoline brush to get them nice and smoothed out. And then we'll make this one a little bit different to the opposite side. That's always interesting. And then go off to the left. And again, if you just connect this to the one on the right, you should be able to just drag and drop your color in like so. Now I'm actually going to go down and hold down on my eraser, which what that will do is it will switch it to the brush that I'm currently using, which of course is the monoline brush. And I'm just going to go ahead and just make a quick cut in the middle here, and then just redo that one here with an extra line. There we go. I want to have a gap in the center. Now we've started down here, and that's where we're going to continue. We're going to go above our layers for a minute and create a new layer. Go to your colors and grab the line work color, which is the middle of the 4th column. And your brush wants to be changed. We want inking and the syrup brush. I'm going to tap on it so you can see my settings and stabilization. You can also see my streamline pressure, stabilization, and streamline, as I've already said. And then hit done. My brush size is set to 20%. That's roughly going to be what we stick with for the majority of this. And then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of draw along that bit of land there. Now I want to kind of let it taper off. That's what I'm trying to go for. So let me just retry that. There we go. And let's do another one in here. And this may take a few attempts, and that's perfectly fine. There we go. Little line across. From there, we're also going to go ahead and create some curves here for our clouds. I want to outline them as well. We're going to come back to this in just a second because we will need to cut away into here. But use the taper of the brush. It's the thin point. So if you press really lightly, you'll get some lovely thin lines. And I'm just going to go ahead and work that in. I'm going to leave it all the way off on the left-hand side there. I don't necessarily want to go all the way to the very edge. I want the lines to bring your focus into the center of the scene. So with that said, I'm going to hold down on my eraser and I'm going to use the same brush, but just to get rid of a lot of that one on the right. If not, yeah, that'll do. Just a little something like this. Now in front of here is going to live some plants. So we're going to create a new layer. Just for a minute, just tap on your last layer that you're working on, that line work, and just tone it down to 30%, only temporarily, so we can see what we're working with. And then on this empty new layer, same brush, same color, we're just going to go ahead and really lightly just create like a bit of a stem here. Now I need to make sure I'm back to my brush. I'm just going to create like a bit of a stem into that dark blue line because they're all going to connect into here. And then from there, we can go ahead and maybe create some kind of like leaf-like shapes here on the ground, followed by some stray little blades of grass. You don't need to overcomplicate this at all. And then just make sure your line work those nice and light. If you struggle with pressure sensitivity, you will probably need to bring your brush size down. It's perfectly fine to do so. I'm just going to go ahead and create some petals off of here, or leaf-like shapes anyway. I'll create another one off from there. You can get very, very close to each other. And then using the stem line, I'm going to go ahead and create another one at the top there. I can run the sort of center lines through the leaves to create that kind of, little bit of detail in there. That's all we want to do. And we're going to move over to the opposite side and do exactly the same. You can see I'm using that line of the grid as my guide. I'm going to let that one curve all the way down. And just like before, we'll create some like little sort of elements down here on the ground. If you go beyond that dark line, don't worry, we can just tidy it up in a second. So let's undo those little random bits. We'll do another like leaf-like shape here, followed by a blade of grass and another one, and perhaps another one just here as well. Let's just make that go the opposite way. And I'll put another one in here just to break up the repetition. And then I'm going to go ahead and create some leaf-like shapes. And they take a little bit of time sometimes, and also working out what sort of angle you're most comfortable with when you're drawing. Like sometimes I have to rotate my canvas and you may have to also. So some very simple line work in there for some plants. You can go ahead then and go back to your line work layer and turn it up to 100%. And then what you need to do is on that line work for the clouds and the ground, grab your eraser. We want to go ahead and tap on our eraser and just change it to the monoline brush under calligraphy, just so we know what we're doing. So monoline brush under calligraphy, and set the size to something a bit smaller, like 12%. You're looking for where those lines just run into your plants. So I can get rid of all of this dark blue here, because this is going to be filled in a minute anyway. I can see that that's fine, and that all works out nicely. And then if you had any excess, you could just erase it from the plant layer down here. But I don't, so we're just going to go ahead and go back to the layer for our line work of our clouds and move across and repeat. We get rid of where the lines basically overlap into here, like so. And then again, go back to your plant layer if you need to. Zoom in and just get rid of any little excess that runs down too far. Now from that, we'll go ahead and color this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tap underneath on a new layer and then go to your colors. Grab this green here, which is the top of the fourth column. You can keep with the monoline brush if you want to, or use the syrup, either. I'm just going to set the syrup brush down to like 11% though, just so it's a little bit easier to control. And then in these leaves, just color them in. Now, we want to go ahead and also remember we need to drag this layer underneath the ground as well. So it now sits under both of those line work layers. So everything's going to be nice and tidy. Color in the inside of your leaves and your plant here. Color that in. And now we can get rid of those random little gaps as well that we had with the clouds. Move across, color this in. Now, if you're enjoying this tutorial, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I know a lot of people watch my videos because they pop up on your home screens and you enjoy them on a weekly basis, but you're not subscribed, and you'd be helping me massively if you could subscribe. Help support the channel and the work that I do. Anyway, let's go ahead and then go to this layer that we're working on, tap on it, and let's go ahead and alpha lock it so we can't paint outside of the green that we've already painted. And then go to your colors and grab this darker green. top of the 5th column. Light source, I imagine majority of the tutorial is going to be kind of top right to bottom left. So towards the left edge or just in behind some of these leaves, you can just add a subtle bit of shadow. There we go, just a little bit of a shadow there. Very, very subtle. We'll do the same over here. So kind of going to add it either to the left hand side or maybe on the inside of the plant. Either. To be honest, you don't really need to overthink it. Just a little something like that will look nice. And then if you leave some space, you can equally go ahead and go to your colours and grab this blue here, top left of the palette, but set your opacity down to 50%. And then you can zoom back in and you can add like the tiniest bit of additional kind of colour to one side, like that. Just a little bit of extra colour, maybe a lot more on this one here. And because you set to 50%, if you go over yourself a couple of times, you'll really bring in the blue. And we'll do the same over here. Maybe just the slightest bit of blue like up here, on this one, and then definitely over here as well. There we go. Some lovely little simple bits of greenery. Let's then work on our planet that's going to sit in the center. So we're going to go ahead and with our line work, etc., we're going to go ahead and tap on the blue layer below, which is this area here. And in fact, while we're here, I'm going to hold down to select the color and I'm going to zoom in because I'm going to set my opacity to 100%. And I'm just going to go ahead and just curve that in a little bit more. I want that to be a little bit more playful than what it was. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer. I'm going to go to my colors again and grab that line work color, middle of the 4th column. Brush still wants to be that 20% marker. You want to keep it consistent where possible. And we're going to go ahead and draw in a circle. Now what you want to do is you want to draw in a circle and go round on yourself a few times. And then when you get towards the top, hold down and pop one finger on the screen. Now, if you do what I did, where I press too firm, you end up with this big block at the end. So that's why we go round a few times. You can press quite firm and just keep your pressure consistent. And then if anything, just let it get really light before you hold down at the end and pop your finger on pop one finger on the screen, sorry. And then you want to scale this up to roughly around about kind of this size. And then grab your cursor. If you've got snapping turned on in the bottom left, you'll be able to just drag this into the center, making sure you are perfectly centered in the middle of your canvas. I think positioning wise that can come a little bit lower down. We're not trying to fill out the canvas on this occasion. So I tap on my cursor when I'm done. Then we're going to go ahead and create a new layer and drag it underneath that line work just for a second. And then we're going to create the continents basically, but we're going to keep it extremely simple. So for example, you can create the North Pole if you want to, or something like this. As long as you connect it to this outer line, you'll be fine. We can go ahead and I'm going to put the UK, as I am from the UK, right in the kind of central area here. We don't want to miss out Ireland as well. And then just from there, you can just create, of course, everything else that you want to. So we'll go down into here and they don't need to, again, match up in any way. The only thing you need to make sure you do is just run into that outside line like so, and then let that run all the way across. We'll go ahead and also create down here as well. Again, it's just meant to be fun and cartoony, so you don't need to sort of stress about it looking any particular way. Of course, if you want to do your side of the world, by all means, put whatever you want in the center. So once you've gone ahead and sort of connected to those edges, you can go ahead and go to your line work and pinch the two together. Then you can go ahead and tap on this and reference it. So what now is going to happen is when we create a new layer and we drag it underneath that line work, every layer now looks at that reference as to what to do. So if we go to our colors and we grab the yellow in the middle of the first column, if we drag it into here and then we tap on continue filling, I can just keep tapping and it's looking for where to fill in based off of the reference. I can hit the tick. And then I can go ahead and go to my layers and see, even though it's not got the line work on it, it used the line work above as a guide. If I create another new layer and I go to my colors and I grab the first color, top left of the palette, drag it into this ocean area, it uses that again as a guide. Then what we can do is we can tap on it and turn off the reference. It's really important that you do that because otherwise the rest of the tutorial gets a little bit funny as to what's happening potentially. And then we're going to go ahead and on the yellow layer, create a new layer in front of it and tap on it and clipping mask it. Go to your colors and grab the orange tone, middle of the second column. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and set my opacity to 100%. And we're going to go ahead and just start to create a shadow down here. I'm pressing extremely firmly and I'm kind of coming into the shape quite a bit. And then I'm going to set it to 50%. And I'm going to kind of just draw a line kind of right next to that one that's going to be a little bit lighter. And then you can just add in some very simple kind of shading. We'll do the same with the blue. So if you're done with your yellow layer, you can pinch the two together. You can go to your ocean layer and create a new layer, tap on it and clipping mask it. Again, set your opacity back to 100%. Go to your color and grab the darker blue, which is the top of the second column, and kind of follow suit with that shadow as best as you can. You know, you'll wrap that round in here and don't let go. And then that way you can just kind of keep going and just triple check it matches up. And then go to your opacity, set it to 50%, and then try and marry up a little bit to the shadowy tone that you created with the orange. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's meant to be cartoony and fun, of course. So from that, you can then go ahead and pinch those two together, and we can create some more layers while we're here. We can go ahead and create a new layer in front of the line work. We can go ahead and go to our colors and grab the white, middle of that second column from the right. We want maximum opacity. And so we can just over here just create like a bit of a curve that marries up. You can hold down at the end if you need to and edit the arc as I've shown you already to make it kind of make sure it sort of curves and matches up to the actual circle itself. Let's then go ahead and add in some elements in the background area. So let's go to our layers. Now that's your planet all done. You can swipe from left to right, group them together like I do typically and rename that and call it planet just in case you want to add anything else or do anything to it. However, if you're done with it, just pinch those layers together. I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer, drag it underneath the planet. I'm going to go back to my colors and grab the dark blue again, middle of that fourth column. And we're going to create some additional planets back here. So I'm going to create a circle in a similar fashion. My pressure is really light at this point, so I can get a slightly smaller line, and then I'll pop one finger on the screen. I'm going to scale this up to around about this size here. Then I'm going to go ahead and create a new layer in front of it. We're going to create an ellipse. So again, just a very simple shape like this, and then just sort of hold down at the end to create an ellipse. Grab your cursor and just move it so that it sort of wraps around the planet. And then you could probably get away with moving that a little bit higher. Then go to that layer and swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor, use uniform and just scale it up in size, and just make sure towards the back almost that they kind of marry up, but here at the front you'd end up with that lovely disc-like shape. I'm going to tap on my cursor when I'm done. I'm going to go to that layer and pinch those two together. And then on this layer, just go to your colors. We can go ahead and grab the orange, which is the middle of that second column, and just drag it into there so it's nice and full. And then just go ahead and go to your planet layer quickly. Create a new layer and drag it underneath the ring for that planet there. Then tap on that and use the reference tool. Go to the layer underneath and go to your colors. Let's grab the lighter red, bottom of the first column, and drag it into there. Then if we go ahead and go to the rings on that layer now, if you go to your eraser, it doesn't matter what your eraser is as long as it's solid, just get rid of this little bit here around the back. So now it all marries up nicely. You can adjust the rings if you need to. For example, you could go ahead and grab your cursor and scale it down. You could flatten it if needs be. You could use distort. You could really flatten it down and try and get a better angle potentially. That looks a lot better, so I'll do exactly that. And I'll grab my eraser and just get rid of any of those little elements. Now, using the red layer here for our circle of our planet, create a new layer, tap on it and clipping mask it. Go to your colors and grab the bottom of the second column. Using your brush maximum opacity, just go ahead and darken up kind of like the bottom left, then set it to 50%, and then just wrap round another little kind of shadow running across it. Very simple. We can go to our layers then and pinch those two together. You can even go ahead and create a new layer again. Go to your colors and grab the white, middle of the second column from the right. Maximum opacity again, zoom in, and just very lightly with your pressure, just create like a little simple highlight on there as well. So it all kind of starts to marry up then. And that's your planet done. You can pinch all of the elements together for it. We can create a new layer. Let's go to our colors again and grab the line work color, middle of the fourth column. And again, we're just going to create another element. This will be like a moon this time. So we'll draw in a circle, go around a couple of times and hold your pen down at the end and pop one finger on the screen. I'm not fussed if the weight of the line is like slightly thin here and slightly chunky there. I think it adds to that cartoony look. Now we're just going to go ahead and tap on this layer and reference it quickly. Go to the layer underneath and create a new layer. Go to your colors. Let's grab the yellow middle of the first column and drag it into the circle. Let's then go to our layer and create a new layer. Tap on it and clipping mask it. Set your opacity to 50%. Go to your colors and grab the slightly darker yellow. It's actually more orange, so middle of the second column. And then we'll just do what we did before. We'll go maximum opacity and we'll just shadow this left-hand side, only a small one. Then go to 50% as well and then add in another one. And then from there, you could go ahead and set it back up to 100% and just add in little sort of dashes in here to, add in some like crater-like shapes, but they look really cool with that brush, I think, with the kind of texture of it. And the final thing we could do is add a highlight to it. So let's go ahead and just pinch all of the planet together. Let's go ahead and on the same layer, just go to your colors and grab the white middle of that second column from the right. And again, zoom in, match the curve, and then just add in a very simple little highlight. Lovely, nice and cartoony. Let's add in some other elements. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. We're just going to temporarily go up to our actions and edit our drawing guide. We're going to go to symmetry, go to options and set it to the option of quadrant. Just drag the center point over to this empty bit of space over here and hit done. So if we then go to our layer, it should say assisted. If it doesn't, just tap on it and add the drawing assist. Go to your colors and grab the color for our line work. You may want to lower your brush size potentially, but what's going to happen now is it's going to marry up in each quarter. So what you can do is you can start up here and then you can just draw that out like so. And if you kind of marry up the lines as best as you can, you see it takes me a couple of attempts as well, you can create a very simple star that's perfect, like it matches up all the way around. Now it's a little big, but to be fair, I could scale that down and have a few smaller ones potentially as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just go to my color, grab white in the middle of that second column from the right and just drag it into the center. And then we can go ahead and go to our actions again, edit that drawing guide. We'll go back to the 2D grid and hit done. Now we can go ahead and swipe that to the left and duplicate it. Grab your cursor, use uniform and just scale it down a tiny bit. Maybe move this one up here. Grab another one, swipe it to the left and duplicate it. Move it down over here, maybe close to our planet. And I'll do one more that's a little bit smaller again. So just even smaller, and I'll just chuck that one in here. You're looking for balance, so potentially what I'll do is I'll grab my smallest one, move it over there, and I'll grab my largest one and move it over here. So it should balance out the piece a little bit more if I put that down here and I grab the smallest one and maybe move it to there. Now we do have filler in these areas to add. So what we're going to do is leave your stars all separated if you can. I mean, you could pinch them together, but keep hold of your original one. So I'll pinch the other three together and then that one can stay on its own. In case I want to duplicate it again, we're going to go ahead and above those stars, create a new layer. We want to go to our brush. Let's go to calligraphy and the monoline brush, and just temporarily we're going to tap on it. I'll show you how to change it back. We'll go to stroke path and just increase the spacing up to max and then hit done. So now when you drag, it takes a little while to add in another dot. So with a size, let's start at around about 30%. I can freely and easily just keep tapping without the fear of creating a line. A couple of white dots. Then we're going to go ahead and let's grab the, let's think of a blue tone. Let's in fact grab the line work blue. Tap away, vary your size. I'm going to go down to 19 now to add in some more simple little elements in here. And then going to go to my colors and grab the yellow, middle of the first column. Add in some yellow, lovely little spots in here. Again, without the fear of creating a line, I can just color in as much as I want. Set the size even smaller, down to maybe a 7. And I've created a line by accident. That must have been my hand. There we go, a couple of little dots. Don't want to go too high. I want to contain the design in this kind of small half section in the middle. And then I'm going to go to my colors. Let's see if we can grab another color. Let's grab this light blue here, bottom of the second column. Add in some stars in here. I might make these ones a little bit bigger again, up to even bigger than that. Let's go up to like a 40%. A couple more little taps in here, like so. And if you really wanted to, you could go ahead and, for example, create a new layer. Go to your color and grab the dark blue in the middle of the fourth column. Go back to your brush under inking and change it back to the syrup brush. Set your size a lot smaller though, down to like a 2%. And you could outline some of those if you really wanted to. So you could get in here and just create like a bit of an outline on them. So you could go around a few times like I just did. And that might just add in a little bit of a blend between the kind of cartoony style that we've got going on here with the dots in the background. So I just created a circle there. It's going to kind of show that some of them don't need outlines because they're too far away, but some of them being outlined I think looks really smart. It kind of ties the whole piece together, because then some things have outlines and some things don't, but there's a kind of middle point in which the line works tends to fall off. Now let's just go ahead and add some further color to the background. Let's go ahead and go down here. We're going to go down to the bottom layer and create a new layer and drag it underneath the last one. Go to your colors. We're going to go ahead and move into this blue tone here, top of the second column from the right. Let's go back to our brush. We want to be under calligraphy again in the monoline brush, and I told you I would show you how to reset it. Swipe it to the left, reset it, and hit reset. Now it's going to go back to normal. We want our brush size 100%. We'll just check if the brush has changed its stabilization, which it looks like it's got a little bit of streamline. I'm going to go up to stabilization as well, about 60%. So 66, 61, and hit done. And then all we want to do is just like before, just create some sort of very simple cloud-like shapes back here. So I'm just creating sort of curvy, bobbly kind of shapes just in the distance. That was all one line, which was quite nice. And then I'll just create some additional sort of cloudy-like shapes all the way off to the left-hand side so I can drag and drop my color into the bottom area. And then we'll go to our layers and create another new layer, drag it underneath that last one. Go to your colors, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the bottom of the second column from the right. But we're going to go ahead and do like something a little bit different, where we're just going to kind of do this in like one big curvy line all the way across left to right, and then drag and drop your color in. But bring your opacity down so it doesn't marry up to the one at the front. We can just bring that down to like a 40 to 50%, somewhere perfectly in the middle will be fine. And then tap away when you're done. And the only change I want to really make is I want to go to this line work here at the front. I'm going to go back to my line work color, which is the middle of that fourth column. My brush wants to go back to inking and the syrup brush. I'm going to go back to my size of 20% that we were with for the majority of it. The only thing I want to do is I want to just chunk out this line a bit more. Like I really want it to have like a good sense of sort of scale, because it's a bit closer towards us. So it did actually take me quite a few attempts, but I've ended up chunking it out on the left and the right. If I undo those for you, you can see what it looked like before, and then I redo it. And you can see I've just added a bit more weight to the left and right hand side. And that's it. We're done with today's design. We can go up to our actions, turn off our drawing guide. We can tap away. We can pinch with 2 fingers and go full screen with 4, and we end up with today's design. So I hope you enjoyed something a little bit more sort of cartoony and simple, and hopefully, potentially, you are a new Procreate user and this was nice and easy for you to follow along with. So when you're done, make sure to tag me in your finished creations wherever you decide to share them, like Instagram and Facebook. Make sure to also check out my Patreon, because that's where I post 3 exclusive tutorials every single month to my Patreon supporters. I've got a catalogue now of over 140 exclusive tutorials at the time of recording, and like I said, 3 more are added every single month, so that catalogue just continues to grow. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video here on YouTube, you'll love this one on the screen now. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.